And we're bringing our newsroom to a community near you. CP24 is on the road tonight, live from Celebration Square in the city of Mississauga.
We're here for a special edition of Live at 5. Plus, we've got an update on the fire that has displaced hundreds of residents of two Thorncliffe Park apartment buildings. The residents still don't know when they're going to get to go home.
And nearly half of grade 6 students in Ontario, they're not meeting the province's standard for math. We're going to tell you what the education minister plans to do about it.
And as calls grow for a public inquiry into the Eglinton Crosstown LRT delays, we'll get an update on the Hazel McCallion line here in Mississauga.
This is Live at 5, close to home.
Welcome to a special edition of Live at 5, close to home. We are coming to you live from Celebration Square in the city of Mississauga. This is part of a series of newscasts where we visit a community near you. We're showing you a live look of Celebration Square right now, just over us, celebrating the beautiful 6th largest city here in this country. We're here in your neighborhood where you work, where you play, where you grow, talking about issues that matter to you.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Beatrice Faisman. Welcome to Live at 5, close to home.
Okay, we're going to be joined by special guests throughout the hour, starting with the mayor of Mississauga, Carolyn Parrish, who joins us live right now. Mayor, thanks so much for joining us. All right, you've been mayor for over a year, about a year and a half now. What has this been like? And also, are you going to run for election coming up next year?
A, it's the best job in the entire world. And B, yes, I am going to run again.
And being the leader of this city, what is it like after dedicating so much of your life to public service here?
Well, you learn to get along with other levels of government, which is really important. You don't fight with them because you depend on them. And that's been good because I was an MP for 13 years. You also learn how valuable every single person is in the city, and they all have different problems. So you have little clusters of things that you put into the budget to make each of them happy.
When you talk about not fighting with other levels of government, I know you have a pretty good relationship with the Premier. I think last time you and I talked about speed cameras, you were going to dinner, about to give him a piece of your mind about those speed cameras. Have you given him or Metrolinx a piece of your mind about the Hazel McCallion line, which is now, I think, at least a year?
I don't think even as good as the Premier is, he has any control over Metrolinx. I think they are a group unto themselves. They are a mystery group. Nobody knows where they are, what they're doing, or when they're going to finish.
Okay, so Mayor, in addition to that, we did reach out to the Minister of Transportation for an update on the LRT. He wasn't available, but his spokesperson provided us with this statement, quote, track work has finished at 34 of 55 intersections along the corridor, with 2 more nearing completion by the end of the year. 9 out of 19 stop platforms, they're now constructed along the Godway. Over 28 kilometers of rail has been laid in both directions. At Port Credit Station, crews have completed the structural work for the north and south entrances with concrete poured. The walls currently being built. And once in service, the 18-kilometer Hazel McCallion line is going to bring a new reliable transit to a rapidly growing region. The new line is going to feature 19 stops, travel through 2 urban growth centers, and connect commuters to major transit systems, including GO Transit, the Mississauga Transitway, Brampton Transit, Zoom, and MyWay.
That's all good.
Yeah.
But when is the big question? I mean, initially it was supposed to be last year. You were optimistic it was 2026, and now you told the local newspaper you're thinking, what, 2029?
I was just speculating on how far we've come, and I'm thinking 2019 or 2028 or 29. It won't be done before then. You just watch how they've been working, and I don't blame the province. I actually blame Metrolinx because I drive up and down, and there's huge areas where there's nobody working, and it's in good weather. So now that the frost is hitting, I don't think they're going to go any faster.
And also, Mayor, speaking of Metrolinx, they did give us a statement. The government agency provided this statement regarding the Hazel McCallion line. Quote, once construction nears completion and we move into the testing and commissioning phase, we're going to be in a better position to provide an approximate opening date. Metrolinx will continue to work with municipal partners to share project progress and address issues. Your frustration, Mayor?
My frustration is we've been trying to get them to address council for the last 3 months, and they keep pushing us off into January or February. So if they have good news for us, you think they'd be anxious to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a similar scenario in Toronto with the Eglinton Crosstown LRT as well. I want to move to a situation we kind of saw unfold between the municipalities and Queen's Park a few years ago. The first idea from the Premier to separate Peel Region, then relenting on that. What has happened since, Mayor, and how have you and the other municipalities in Peel, Brampton, Caledon worked to kind of figure out the kinks and who's paying for what?
Well, I've never really wanted to separate from the region because they have a huge social service network that people can move anywhere in Peel, and their assistance follows them. But there are parts of the region that cost us a fortune in subsidies for Caledon and Brampton. One is regional roads. So we moved a motion at council to get, actually we didn't do that one. Ford did that in a bill. We moved a motion there to get waste management, solid waste pickup moved down to our local waste pickup. That's going to be in a year and a half. That's going to save us $18 million the first year, not subsidizing the other two municipalities. And regional roads are moving in 6 months. That saves us $30 million. We are now also have hired a consultant to look into creating our own police force because we're subsidizing Brampton over $100 million a year.
Okay.
What would that look like? For Mississauga to have its own police service, I guess.
Well, it would look like all kinds of other cities that are smaller than us, like Hamilton and London, Ontario. We would just become a bigger city with its own police force.
And along with that,
we could control.
Along with that, Mayor, I have to ask you about the quality of life in Mississauga. And with that, what are you doing? What have you been doing to make it affordable for families to actually buy to live in Mississauga?
The most essential family cost is housing. And what we did was we pulled together all the top developers in Mississauga, about 30 of them, and we said, what can we do as a city to make things happen faster? So they told us, what else can we do? Reduce development charges. We've reduced rent, our taxes on rental buildings 35% for 35 years. So what's happening right now, last year we had 2,000 permits issued, 2,300. This year we're over 11,000 because we're the cheapest place for builders to build. So we're going to be having sod turning for 3 buildings shortly. If you can get apartments up, mostly rental apartments, they're first homes for a lot of people that are coming into the country. And we're really encouraging them to do 3-bedroom units. And we're charging them no development charges on 3-bedroom units so families can move in. So if you can get their rent or their overhead on housing down, then they've got more money for food and other things.
Are you satisfied, Mayor, with the level of housing that's being brought into the city of Mississauga as continuously as it grows and more people want to essentially live, work, play here?
Yep.
Are you satisfied that you're going to reach those housing starts that you actually want to reach?
I'm never satisfied. I will be pushing harder and harder. And once we get those 11,000 units underway, we'll be pushing for more.
And Mayor, as we wrap up, final thoughts?
Final thoughts? It's a great job. I love it. I love the skating rink. We had our first Santa Claus parade in 24 years here a week and a half ago. There were over 40,000 people, and they just had a ball.
You talk about it being a great job. Is it easier or harder than you expected? And you said you're putting your name forward in 2026. So.
Yes. It's a lot more time consuming than being a councillor for one ward, but it's fabulous. You can get all kinds of stuff done.
And last question, we have to get your thoughts on One Mississauga. What's going on?
One Mississauga.
Yeah. That was tackling racism and discrimination.
Yes. Well, I have the purple scarf on because we're tackling abuse against women. We are also, I have a Muslim advisory council that come in. We're talking about Islamophobia. So we're trying to hit all these things. We're having the groups come in on mayor's task forces, and we're dealing with all of them.
Okay. Mayor Carolyn Parrish, Mississauga, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, right now it is 5:08. Let's get a check on the commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Angela Ntiaya-Bois.
QEW just as you make your way Toronto bound through Walker's Line. It is the end of the on-ramp and the 2 right lanes that are blocked following this ongoing collision. Again, if you're making your way through the area, traffic severely backed up on the approach. And then traveling towards the 401. On the 401 westbound, this is just as you make your way west of the 407. Looks like we were dealing with a stall. Not sure my camera went out, and it did, but it's just west of here, and it does have the center lane blocked. It's a transport truck. And if you're on the Don Valley Parkway, pretty busy both north and southbound, pretty much between Dundas and the 401. We do have problems I can't see on the eastbound 401 if you're headed out towards Oshawa at Simcoe Street. Crews on scene of a collision blocking a live lane. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
All right, let's get to some of the other news stories that we're following today. We've got some developing news from Etobicoke where a woman has been rushed to hospital after a fire.
This is the scene. This is Waterbury Drive near Martin Grove and Dixon. Police say that a woman in her 80s has life-threatening injuries. It's not clear how the fire started, but it is being investigated right now. And also, city officials say a fire that has displaced hundreds from 2 condos in Thorncliffe Park, it's still active. This is almost a week after it broke out.
Yeah, I was there last Thursday when it all started. The fire has now slowly been burning through particle board in the walls shared by these 2 high-rise buildings in Thorncliffe Park. Efforts to put the fire out, it's been hampered because of a smoldering in a space that's too narrow for crews to access directly. Officials provided an update on that situation today, describing the fire as unprecedented and saying there's still no timeline for when impacted residents will be able to return home.
This is not just a fire department effort. This is a city-wide response with multiple divisions continuing to support this incident and the residents and the Thorncliffe community. Our top priority remains clear: getting people back into their homes as soon as it is safe to do so.
We are continuing to work very closely with the Canadian Red Cross to ensure residents have access to emergency supports, including hotel accommodations, food, basic supplies, and financial top-ups to help cover costs while they're out of their homes.
Until we receive a report from the third-party engineer to say, yes, the building is occupiable, we will not be in a position to provide that clearance. So there'll be a thorough investigation with respect to, prior to occupancy being granted.
And the city says that more than 300 people have registered with the Red Cross to receive support. That's so far.
All right, it is 5:12, sitting right at the freezing mark, feeling more like -7 out here. I can confirm. It's a little bit chilly. This is Live at 5, close to home.
Well, after holding them back, the province's education minister has released standardized testing results. We're going to take a look at how Ontario students are doing. That's next.
And we're live in Celebration Square tonight, bringing our newscast to a neighborhood near you. Here's an aerial view of Mississauga. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, new data from Stats Canada shows more youths here in this country were charged with murder last year, even as the national homicide rates fell.
72 youth were charged with homicide last year. That's up from 65 in 2023. 13 of the murders were in Toronto. Across Canada, police reported 788 homicides in 2024. That's 8 fewer than the year before.
Well, the Ontario government is launching an advisory body to examine EQAO results and student outcomes. Let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan for more on the results and what they mean for Ontario students. I was at Queen's Park last week, Andrew, and there was a lot of backlash on the education minister for holding these back. What did he say today?
Yeah, and the question at that time, Beatrice, was why. People were wondering, hey, maybe the results are not good. And regardless of whether or not the education minister is happy with the results, he says he's not, by the way, the actual results are about where we saw them last year, even some improvements. But I'm going to try to put this in perspective, but just bearing in mind, when I say 51% of students passed or got to the Ontario provincial standard, that would mean that 51% of grade 6 students got an A or a B if this were a report card. So there would have been others that would have gotten a C or a D, therefore they would have passed. But let's just say 51% ultimately got passing grade in this circumstance, because it's really about the education system, not about the individual student. So 51% for grade 6, 58% passing or getting the Ontario standard in grade 9 math. Math are the results that are particularly problematic, both for the education minister and historically the trend is students tend to do a little bit worse in that subject versus reading and writing. So With the results being not altogether great, the Education Minister, Paul Calandra, says that what he wants to do is have an advisory panel that will be paid each person $1,500 a day in the new year to look into the results, see what boards are doing well, which aren't doing so well, and then try to see if they can improve results in years to come. The opposition parties here at Queen's Park say that roughly $1,500 per student has been lost from the education system. It would be better in their mind to put the money towards having smaller classes. When you hear as well from the unions for teachers, what they say is some at least are open to some discussions about EQAO, but they also, like OECTA, the Elementary Teachers Federation, saying that they want to ensure that they're not being talked down to be able to make students succeed. Listen to this.
The results show that despite improvements, as we continue to implement a back-to-basics approach, there have been inadequate progress in reading, writing, and especially math. Half of grade 6 students and 42% of grade 9 students are not meeting the provincial standard in math. Some student groups and school boards continue to face serious gaps in achievement, and this is simply not good enough. Our responsibility is to do everything possible to boost student success. Students deserve better, and we must do better.
I'm thankful that he's thinking about reviewing, but it needs to be broader. It needs to be a genuine collaborative and consultative model. It needs to involve parents and teachers. And if it doesn't, that kind of management doesn't work well. Everyone has had that kind of boss, the boss who knows it all. There's no lack of humility. There's no sense of respect for the workers or what they do. And then they can't understand why the things they want to happen can't happen. You need to have the humility to say, I need to talk to those people. I will learn from making better decisions in consultation with those people.
So there are other public sector and education unions, Bakari and of course Beatrice as well, that want to do away with EQAO altogether. They say that these standardized tests don't adequately show results in the classroom and also help students learn better. But ultimately, as of right now, it doesn't seem they're going to be going away anytime soon. And potentially in years to come, if the Education Minister has this panel doing what he wants, ultimately potentially results could be a little bit better for those kids of the future. Back to you.
Okay, live from Queen's Park, CP24's Andrew Britton. Well, the Ford government said it knew Algoma Steel had planned to lay off thousands of workers. This is before loaning it $100 million.
Between the province and the federal government, the steel giant was given a combined $500 million in loan assistance to weather the Trump tariffs. $100 million of that was from the Ontario government. On Monday, Algoma announced plans to slash 1,000 workers in Sault Ste. Marie. The Ford government today admitted it knew about the layoff plan. The province's economic development minister says they had no choice but to provide the loan or risk Algoma shutting down the entire operation.
Well, the investment that we made in Algoma was necessary, first of all, just to keep the doors open, to make sure that that they're available to be open today. And we saw the president of Algoma say, if it wasn't for that investment, they wouldn't be here today. They would be completely shut down. We saw the union 2724, I think was their union, saying they knew these layoffs were coming because of the electric arc furnace. But the Trump tariffs have accelerated that those layoffs.
The Sault Ste. Marie layoffs will come in March.
Okay, right now it is 5:20, holding at 0. This is Live at 5, close to home.
Coming up next, we'll speak to the CEO of Food Banks Mississauga on how you can give back this holiday season. Stay with us as we leave you with a live look of the Mississauga skyline.
Food Banks Mississauga's holiday drive has set an unprecedented goal of raising $3 million this year. The campaign runs until January 9th, 2026. It comes at a crucial time as Food Banks Mississauga saw a record-breaking 500,000 visits last year.
Joining us now live here at Celebration Square to talk about the drive and how you can help is Megan Nichols, the CEO of Food Banks Mississauga. Megan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Talk about how dire the situation is and why you've obviously felt the need to increase the number of money you need this year?
Well, unfortunately, the number of folks using the food bank continues to rise. And this year we saw over 500,000 visits for the first time as an organization. And so what we're seeing is that people used to visit a food bank 3 or 4 times a year in an emergency when they lost a job or maybe had an unexpected expense. But now they're coming to the food bank 10, 11, 12 times a year because every month is an emergency.
Just for contrast, you say 500,000 visitors this year. How many have you previously seen, just so viewers can kind of understand what the growth has looked like?
So it was a 20% increase just in 1 year. And in total, we're up 300% compared to before the pandemic. So the cost of living crisis has really hit people hard here in Mississauga.
And Megan, when it comes to looking at the stats and new visitors, a lot of times people question, well, how can there be 2 or 3 new kids? How does that work? Can you explain that so that people can understand?
Well, to help us tell the story of the challenges we're seeing in the community, we collect information on each member of a household that comes to a food bank. So here in Mississauga, it's about 28% of the folks using food bank are children. And it doesn't mean kids are coming by themselves to the food bank. It mostly means their families using the food bank, but we know how many household members that we're feeding in total.
I know something that has also changed, Megan, is that, historically, a lot of the people who relied on food banks, maybe those in between jobs or out of work. My understanding is a lot of customers now who go to the food bank for help are employed mums, dads, caregivers who still, even though they're out there making a living and doing their best, they still can't put food on the table. What are you seeing?
Well, here in Mississauga, we've seen almost a quarter of all the folks using the food bank are people who have jobs. And it just goes to show that if you're working at a minimum wage job or a low wage job, if you compare that to the cost of just an apartment, there's just not enough left over for people to afford the basics of life. And so that's why food banks talk about things like housing and salaries and employment, because those are the things that drive people to a food bank.
And along those lines, Megan, what do you want to say to people who they probably need to rely on a food bank, but they're not there yet? For some reason, they don't want to turn to a food bank.
I get it. I mean, no one wants to have to rely on a charity to meet your basic needs. That's hard. But we know that people have done everything they can do themselves. They've tried so hard, and we're here to help. That's why we exist. And I know it must seem for people, oh my goodness, they need to raise so much more money, but we're doing that so we can be there for those folks who need us. So don't suffer in silence. Please reach out for help.
Yeah, how do you break through, I guess, that pride? Because, historically, at some point, maybe going to the food bank conjured up a feeling of shame for people. There's nothing shameful, though, about needing to provide for your family food, something that we all deserve and need.
Absolutely. Food is a human right. Everybody deserves to have to eat. And so we just need to keep advocating in Canada for policies at the government and corporate policies that will mean people can take care of themselves.
And Megan, we're in the holiday season. What additional stress does that mean for your organization?
Well, this is the time of year where Canadians traditionally feel very generous, and people associate giving back to the community with how they celebrate the holidays. And so that's why we've set this goal of $3 million this holiday season. That's $3 million towards our annual needs and will help us put food on the table for folks this holiday season and into the winter to come.
And just to be clear, Meg, is it just monetary donations you're looking for, or are you looking for turkeys and things like that to help people out too?
Well, certainly people donate food and it's helpful, but money goes a lot further. Every dollar we can provide one meal, and that's a great deal. So we would love to see folks be able to do that.
All right, Megan Nichols, Food Bank Mississauga. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, right now it's 5:26, holding at 0. This is Live at 5, close to home.
We'll have much more from Mississauga coming up during this special edition of Live at 5, close to home. Join us here live at Celebration Square coming up. We are bringing our newsroom to a community near you. And CP24 is on the road tonight. Here we are live from Celebration Square in the city of Mississauga. We're giving you a bird's eye view, of course, for a special edition of Live at 5.
And an update on the fire that has displaced hundreds of residents. This of the 2 Thorncliffe Park apartment buildings. They still don't know when they're going to be able to go home.
And nearly half of grade 6 students here in Ontario are not meeting the province's standard for math. We'll tell you what the education minister plans to do about it.
And as calls grow for a public inquiry into the Eglinton Crosstown LRT delays, we're going to get an update on the Hazel McCallion line in Mississauga.
This is Live at 5, close to home.
Welcome back to a special edition of Live at 5, Close to Home. We're coming to you live from Celebration Square in the city of Mississauga. It's part of our series of newscasts. This is where we visit a community near you.
Good evening. I'm Beatrice Faisman.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5, Close to Home.
We're going to be joined by special guests, of course, throughout this half hour as well, including Peel Regional Police Inspector Faraz Ishmael from 11 Division from Peel Police, who joins us now live here in Celebration Square. Inspector, thanks so much for making time for us. Let's talk about what you and your fellow officers are seeing out there through Peel Region. What are some of the trends? What are some of the challenges that your officers are facing?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Really proud to be able to come up here and speak on the behalf of all of our members. I can tell you that we are happy to see that the crime trends are going in the right direction and that they're going down. We are also aware that our response times are improving now because we have more boots on the ground, we have the resources and more officers out there, and also some of the technological advances we've made in our operating center and our communication center. So that's been a great thing for us. But we also know this is not the time to take our foot off the pedal, that this is something we're going to have to continue to work on and to continue to kind of work along with the community to make sure that we're aware of these issues and also create collaborative, proactive strategies to better deter some of the perpetrators from committing their crimes as well.
And along with that, let's talk about the new response or updated response when it comes to hate crimes and a cultural response. Talk about that.
Yeah, hate crimes have been a priority for Peel Region Police for many years. We've always had hate crime investigators embedded within our divisions, and we have reassurance protocols in that we, provide wraparound services for some of our victims. More recently, we've actually, brought these teams together. We've actually now created a unit, a specific unit that has a bit of that kind of more of a cultural, specific feel to it. I know that one of the parts and one of the important pieces of it is that we're more integrated in communities right now. We're more closely connected as a part of this with community centers, places of worship. It's now under the banner of our community safety well-being services. So it does allow us a little bit more mobility and a closer connection to our Crown's office as well so that we can better investigate these matters and provide that type of safety and support to the communities that need it most.
I guess from the relationships with those in places of worship and things like that, I guess, how do you work collaboratively to kind of make sure that those people who are in communities embedded, if they see something, they're the first ones who would be able to say something and report it to police? The same goes, I guess, for intimate partner violence as well. I know there's continuous efforts by Peel Police and other services to help support those victims who are survivors of intimate partner violence and their families.
Yeah, it's a very good point. In the first part of the question, as far as cultural communities and going out there and religious communities, we also know that, hate crimes are kind of a global reality, is that they're one of the most underreported crimes. So part of this is to also encourage, to bring about awareness and understanding about hate crimes, hate incidents, to encourage reporting. And, this is an opportunity to remind people, if you feel that you've been the victim of a hate crime or a hate incident, to pick up the phone and call us. You can report online. You can call our emergency number or 911 if it's an urgent situation. Same for domestic violence. Within the same context, we know that, again, a lot of people are reluctant to report these issues, unfortunately, because of fear of repercussions and reprisals. But I can tell you at Peel Police, we've really built our capacity to be able to support those victims, provide them that safety, security, while holding the perpetrators accountable. So the big message for us is, to raise awareness, to increase reporting so that we can better support the communities that we serve.
And you have more than 2 decades of experience. What have you noticed about changes when it comes to policing the community?
I think more important than ever is to be more closely connected to the community, to hear their voices, to hear their lens, to find ways to kind of also, from them understand perhaps some of the things that they're seeing, some of the trends that they're experiencing as well. And I think it's a shared responsibility when it comes to our communities. We talk about the holiday season, for example. We talk about, folks going out and shopping and doing things like that. Avoid distraction thefts, be aware of your surroundings, park in lit areas, try not to walk around with, big, wads of cash and things along those lines. And I think, part of that conversation and the connectivity with the community is going to allow us to better insulate, to create more resilience for these, potential victims so that we can, again, avoid those situations. And I do think that's so important. So their voices, their lens, their experiences are important to us. We're here to serve them. We're a part of the community in many ways, of course. So that's an important piece of the new evolution of policing.
And community partnership, too. That's
absolutely
important.
Faraz Ishmael, Peel Regional Police. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
everybody.
And a fire has destroyed a home in Vaughan, and it also led to the evacuation of several nearby homes.
CP24's Steve Ryan has just arrived at the scene on Tierra Avenue near Jane and Major Mac with the latest. So what's happening there on the ground, Steve? What are you seeing?
Well, the good news is that nobody was injured. Everybody in that house was removed, and homes on both sides of where the fire occurred were removed as well, and there are no injuries to report. So it was some very good work by Vaughan Fire. They got here very quickly and put the fire out. I'll step out of the way and show you what you can see of the scene. Now, the fire has been put out for a bit of time now, and I'm being told that it started on a car that was parked in the driveway, a hybrid. I'm told by fire officials that was a hybrid vehicle in the driveway. That caught on fire, and then that led to the spreading of the fire onto the front part of the home. All is under control at this point in time. The fire department are here, of course. The police have got the neighborhood roads cordoned off while they continue with this investigation. And of course, fire investigators now will be looking to determine the cause, origin, and circumstances of this fire. But again, the good news is that there are no injuries to report, and everybody was removed from the house safely. This road here will be closed for some time. Tierra Avenue, that is, will be closed for some time while fire continues with their investigation. So that's what we got from up here in Vaughan. So back to you guys.
Steve Ryan reporting live from Vaughan tonight. Steve, thanks so much for this. Now let's get to another story that Steve was actually following earlier, another fire, this one here in the city of Toronto. Officials saying that the fire that has displaced hundreds of people from 2 condos or apartment buildings in Thorncliffe Park still remains active almost a week after it initially broke out.
The fire began last Thursday. It has slowly been burning through particle board. This is in walls shared by 2 of the high-rises. Efforts to put it out, they've been hampered because it's smoldering in a space that's too narrow for crews to access directly. So officials provided an update on the situation today, describing the fire as unprecedented and saying that there's still no timeline for when affected residents are going to be able to return home.
The recommended approach will cause significant damage to units adjoining the wall where the fire is burning, but this is necessary to eliminate the fire. Our team of firefighters and city engineers continue to work together to assess and plan the steps required for residents to be able to return safely. We know residents are eager to return home, and we share that urgency, but safety must come first.
Residents must be working closely with their insurance providers to determine what supports are available to them as part of their personal policies. We are continuing to reach out to the residents to verify their insurance status and understand their ongoing needs. And we will continue to work with the residents who have extenuating circumstances.
The engineering assessments are ongoing, and further detailed assessment is still required. But if there are parts of the building that are damaged, as the chief alluded to, due to fire damage. Units may not be immediately accessible for occupancy. The magnitude of the work that is required in those will really depend on the assessment that comes back. They will outline what work is required to be performed, and that will determine what that phased occupancy looks like. So we'll be in a better position to provide a timeline down the road.
The city says more than 300 people have registered with the Red Cross to receive support so far.
Okay, right now it is 5:40. Let's get a check on the road with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa in Ciayabwa. Hey, Adj, it's snowing, man.
Yeah, in areas, depending on where you're at, it looks like it's snowing out in Mississauga, but if you're a driver coming out of the downtown core, no snow, but you are running into major problems just watching them now on a camera. This is on the Gardner. If you're traveling eastbound on the approach to York Bay Yonge, it is only one lane from what I can see, not the best camera angle that is getting by. So if you're making your way through, it's already creating a delay from well before Jameson. And then out through Burlington, not seeing a lot of snow, but we are dealing with problems on the Toronto-bound QEW. This is the ramp that takes you to the 407, 403. It's been blocked because of this stalled transport truck. And then as you head further east, seeing that little bit of light flurry activity, but big problems. This is Toronto-bound QEW, just through Walker's line. It's the 3 right lanes that are out with the collision. And if you're traveling in towards Milton, looks like we have problems involving a stalled transport. This is on the westbound lanes of the 401, just through the 407. You'll find that center lane is occupied. Also a heads up if you're in the downtown core, debris coming off of a building has shut down the intersection of Bathurst and Queen. I'll send it back to you both.
Adjuancia Bois inside our newsroom. Adj, thanks for this. It is 5:41, sitting at 0, feeling more like -7. It is snowy out here. We're outside at Celebration Square for CP24, live at 5, close to home.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says activity, new listings, and average selling prices down last month as potential home buyers stayed on the sidelines. We're going to take a look at the latest numbers. That's coming up.
And we're in Celebration Square tonight, bringing our newscast to a neighborhood near you. We're showing you live pictures, aerial view of Celebration Square. Stay with us.
The Ontario government is launching an advisory body to examine EQAO results and student outcomes.
You're so cute. It's EQAO. He didn't grow up here. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. Our Andrew Brennan, though, did grow up in Ontario. So did I. We did the EQAO results. And he's got more on what came out at Queen's Park earlier today. So what did you hear from the minister? And how did you do on your EQAO, Andrew?
I actually did awesome because, look at me. I know I seem like the kid at the back of the class, but I'm one of those earnest, I love learning type kids who just needed to be properly stimulated in classrooms. So I did great on EQAO, and that's okay, Bakari. There are 2 other subjects besides the writing. You still got arithmetic we can worry about and get you good results there. And you can read. You do it for a living. So with that in mind, where are we when it comes to results? Well, since the pandemic, but actually even going before the pandemic, results, particularly in math, have not been great. There's been a lot of conversations about how to, get particularly girls in high school to get that gap between boys and girls in going into higher education lower, and also just get everyone across the board better at basic algebra and beyond. So we did not see much of an improvement this year. There was questions even if they were going to have results get worse because they were kept from the public a couple of weeks later by Education Minister Paul Calandra than's normal. But right now, what we can say is 42% of grade 9 students did not meet the Ontario standard for math, and only 51%, so just over half, actually hit the standard for grade 6 students in math. So those are not results that Paul Calandra likes. And what he's saying is he wants this advisory committee to look into, in a deep dive, as he puts it, a way to make the test results, be better, but also that the education system will work better as a result as well, and people do better in tests to come. The unions, though, for public sector teachers are not necessarily in agreement. Here's a couple of clips.
We are seeing the same issues through our broader governance review. Too many boards and trustees are distracted by matters that have nothing to do with student achievement, and this must change. As we continue to review school board governance, I am appointing a new advisory body to lead a thorough review of how Ontario supports student learning. This review will focus on math, reading, and writing, and identifying the real causes behind the gaps in achievement.
We would definitely like to see the test scrapped, but in failing that, we would certainly encourage the government to use the results to direct appropriate funds to the areas that are in need. And this is a government that has suffocated the public education system over the last 7 years. $6.3 billion have been taken out of the system. And like anything, you put your money where your mouth is. You have to direct those resources, those precious resources, to improving the lives of students.
Hearing there, the Elementary Teachers Federation even wants to scrap EQAO altogether. That being said, there are other unions that are willing to meet with the Education Minister and the new panel. Back to you both.
Andrew Brennan reporting live at Queen's Park tonight. Andrew, thanks for this. Let's get to some real estate news now. The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says activity, new listings, and average selling prices were down last month as potential home buyers stayed on the sidelines.
And Trump says just over 5,000 homes changed hands in November. That's down 16% from the same month last year. The average selling price, that was down 6% from last year to $1,040,000. Treb says many GTA households, they want to take advantage of lower borrowing costs and more favorable selling prices, but they've been held back by a lack of confidence in their long-term employment outlook.
There's a lot of people that are on the sidelines right now that have been watching prices, trend lower. They've been watching, what the mortgage rate would be trend lower as well. And so I think, as every month sort of passes, there's a growing number of people that are saying, as I move into 2026, that might be the time to move into the market. As long as I'm confident that I'm going to, retain employment and hopefully see my income increase over time.
There were 11,000 new listings on the market in November, down 4% from last year.
Okay, right now it is 5:49, holding at 0. This is Live at 5, close to home.
We'll have more from Mississauga coming up during this special edition of Live at 5, close to home, including a special performance. There they are getting ready. Stay with us. The City of Mississauga competitive dance program is an opportunity for participants to take their love of dance to the next level.
So the dancers range in age from 6 to 17. It helps to develop their technical skills. Competitive dance team, it is city run. It encourages teamwork, lasting friendships, and growth. And joining us live is Catherine Garland, manager, Citywide Programs, Recreation, and Culture. This is for the City of Mississauga. And, of course, 24 of the dancers from the Mississauga Competitive Dance Program. Catherine, thanks a lot. So, do they practice all year for this? I mean, come on.
They do. It's a year-long program. They participate in up to 4 different dance classes per week as part of the program.
I mean, what does this mean when you've got these kids, they're able to work together, to learn together, to have fun together, to grow together? What does that, do to the kids and the program in general? I mean, the way that parents look to sign up for it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so it's a wonderful program because it acts as our recital dance program acts as a feeder program to this competitive dance program. So our recital program is open to up to 500 participants per year, another year-round program. And the feeder program for that is our instructional dance program. So really open for ages from preschool through to adults, and we have around 1,500 people in our programs per session. So it's wonderful. It helps build self-confidence through the development of their performance skills, and their opportunity to perform in showcases like this really just helps to solidify that confidence.
Okay, so how do people sign up for this? And then also, how competitive is it? We have about a minute to the performance.
So they can sign up for programs like this and all the programs that the city has to offer. We offer arts programs, dance programs, sports, swimming, skating through activemississauga.ca, so online. Program registration is now open for winter, and the session starts January 5th. The amount of competitions that they enter is 3 per year, but they also get opportunities just like this one to perfect their skills on stage. They also performed in the Santa Claus Parade just last week.
How did that go? Tell us about it.
They had a great time. It was wonderful. So great to see them on stage.
And tell us about the performance we're about to see. You have about 20 seconds.
So the performance we're about to see is specially designed just for tonight. So it's a holiday-themed performance, and they're excited to show you.
Okay.
CP24 exclusive.
Yeah, take it away. Cue them. Catherine, cue them.
Oh, let's go.
Cute kids here showing off all their moves here live on CP24 from Celebration Square.
Thank you for watching a special edition of Live at 5 Close to Home.